The massive alien ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, its dark hull absorbing the distant sunlight. Inside, High Hunter Gray stood tall, his scaled armor gleaming under the ship's lights. His species, the Ravagers, had conquered 1,000 worlds, and Earth would be just another easy prey to add to their collection. "Scan the third planet again," Gray ordered, his clawed hand gesturing at the holographic display. "I want to know everything about these creatures." The ship's sensors swept across Earth, gathering data about its inhabitants. The Ravagers had been watching humans for months now, studying their movements, their cities, their military capabilities. Everything pointed to yet another primitive species waiting to be harvested. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Stone of Earth Defense sat in a dimly lit control room, watching as hidden satellites tracked the alien vessel. Humanity had known about the aliens for years, carefully hiding their true capabilities behind a facade of primitive technology. Radio telescopes, disguised as basic communication devices, had picked up the Ravagers' signals long ago. "They're moving closer," Lieutenant Reed reported, her fingers flying over the control panel. "Just as we expected. They always follow the same hunting pattern." Stone nodded, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the monitors. "And that's their biggest weakness. They think they're the only predators in space." He pressed a button, sending encrypted messages to military bases worldwide. "Let them come closer. Let them think we're easy prey." Back on the Ravager ship, Gray reviewed the data with satisfaction. The humans used primitive combustion vehicles, had no visible space defense systems, and their weapons were based on simple projectile technology. Perfect hunting grounds. "Prepare the Terror Fleet," Gray commanded. "Standard protocol. Target their largest cities first. They'll surrender within hours, like all the others." He turned to his second-in-command. "These humans don't even have proper claws or fangs. What could they possibly do against us?" But there was something the Ravagers had missed in their observations. While they watched Earth's visible military bases, they never detected the massive underground complexes. While they scanned the oceans for submarines, they didn't find the hidden cities beneath the waves. And when they analyzed human weapons, they didn't realize that what they saw was just a carefully crafted illusion. In the Pentagon's underground levels, General Harris studied the holographic display showing the approaching Ravager fleet. "All defense platforms in position." "Yes, sir," his aide confirmed. "Stealth systems are holding. They haven't detected any of our orbital weapons." The general allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had learned from its own history of warfare. They knew that showing your full strength wasn't always wise. Sometimes, appearing weak was the greatest strength of all. Commander Stone walked through the control room, checking each station. The room buzzed with quiet efficiency as technicians monitored their systems. Years of preparation were about to be tested. Every nation on Earth had contributed to this defense plan, setting aside their differences in the face of a common threat. "Ravager fleet is launching smaller ships," Reed announced. "They're following their standard attack pattern, just like the intel suggested." Stone watched the tactical display as hundreds of Ravager ships moved toward Earth. They were arranging themselves in their ceremonial hunting formation, preparing to strike fear into their prey. It would have worked, too, if humans were really the prey they appeared to be. "Let them come," Stone said quietly. "Let them think they have us figured out." He turned to his communications officer. "Send the coded message to all commands. Operation Playing Possum is now active." As the Ravager ships entered the outer atmosphere, they remained completely unaware that they had just made the biggest mistake in their species' history. They thought they were starting a hunt, but they were actually walking into a trap. The supposed prey had teeth of its own, and the hunters were about to learn a harsh lesson about making assumptions. The first phase of humanity's plan was about to begin, and the galaxy's greatest predators were about to learn why appearances could be deceiving. The Ravager ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like dark thunderclouds, their weapons primed for their standard terror attack. High Hunter Gray watched from his command ship, expecting to see panic in the streets below. Instead, the cities were eerily quiet. "Where are all the running humans?" Gray growled. "They should be fleeing in terror by now." The answer came in the form of a brilliant flash of light. One of his ships suddenly exploded, split in half by something their sensors hadn't detected. Then another explosion, and another. Captain Walker sat in her hidden orbital command station, giving orders with calm precision. "All units, execute Pattern Delta. Show them what Earth's primitive weapons can really do." Hundreds of stealth satellites revealed themselves, dropping their cloaking fields. Each one carried what looked like simple communication equipment, but these were actually advanced energy weapons designed to appear harmless to alien scans. Impossible. Gray slammed his clawed fist on his command console. Their technology was primitive. We watched them for months. More Ravager ships fell from the sky as Earth's real defense systems activated. Hidden missile silos opened in what the aliens thought were simple farm fields. Anti-spacecraft weapons emerged from beneath the ocean's waves. Every primitive radio telescope turned out to be a disguised energy cannon. "All squadrons, maintain formation," Walker commanded. "Don't let them regroup. They're used to fighting scared prey. Show them what happens when they pick a fight with real warriors." The Ravagers tried to follow their usual attack pattern, but nothing worked as it should. When they attempted to land troops in New York, the entire city's holographic camouflage disappeared, revealing massive defense turrets. Their drop ships were cut to pieces before they could even touch the ground. In London, the aliens found their weapons mysteriously malfunctioning. Human scientists had studied the Ravagers' technology from afar and developed countermeasures months ago. Every blast from the alien ships was absorbed by hidden shield systems that looked like ordinary buildings. 6 more enemy ships down, Lieutenant Reed reported from the Rocky Mountain base. "They're starting to break formation." Commander Stone nodded. "They don't know how to handle an enemy that fights back. Their whole strategy depends on creating panic." The Ravager fleet attempted to regroup high in the atmosphere, but Earth's forces didn't give them the chance. Hidden spacecraft launched from underwater bases and mountain hangars, revealing that humans had mastered spaceflight long ago. They had simply kept their ships out of sight, waiting for this moment. "This is madness," Gray shouted as another explosion rocked his command ship. "How are they doing this? They're supposed to be prey." Captain Walker's voice came over all frequencies, broadcasting to every Ravager ship. "You made a serious mistake. You thought because we didn't show our fangs, we didn't have any. Now you're learning the hard way. Humans aren't prey. We're predators who learn to hide our strength." The battle lasted less than an hour. The mighty Ravager fleet, which had conquered countless worlds, was in chaos. Their rigid battle formations fell apart as they faced weapons and tactics they'd never encountered before. Every time they thought they had figured out Earth's defenses, humans revealed another surprise. From his command center, Commander Stone watched the Ravager ships retreating in disarray. "Send the message to all Earth forces. Phase 2 begins now. Don't let them escape to warn their home world. We're taking this fight to them." As the remaining Ravager ships flowed into space, they were pursued by Earth's hidden fleet. The hunters had become the hunted, and their worst nightmare was just beginning. They had wanted to find easy prey, but instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, a species that had spent its entire history learning to outthink and outlast bigger, stronger predators. The first battle was over, but the war was just beginning, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why underestimating Earth was the last mistake many species would ever make. Dr. Thomas stood in her underground laboratory, studying the captured Ravager through reinforced glass. The alien predator paced in its cell, showing its sharp teeth and occasionally charging at the barrier. But what interested her most was not its fierce behavior, but its obvious weaknesses. "Look at how it moves," she told Commander Stone, who stood beside her taking notes. "They're built for short, powerful attacks. They tire quickly. Their entire evolution focused on overwhelming strength, not endurance." The lab contained pieces of Ravager technology and biological samples from their fallen ships. Humans had been preparing for this moment, but now they had real specimens to study. What they found surprised everyone. Their technology is actually quite simple, Dr. Thomas explained, pointing to a dismantled weapon. They never needed to develop complex solutions because raw power always worked for them. They're trapped by their own success. Meanwhile, on the remaining Ravager command ship, High Hunter Gray struggled to understand their failure. He watched recordings of the battle, trying to make sense of how mere prey had defeated his forces. "Play it again," he ordered his officers. "Show me how they hid their weapons." But no matter how many times they reviewed the footage, they couldn't understand how they had been so completely fooled. Back on Earth, Intelligence Officer Miller prepared for his mission. The humans had captured a Ravager scout ship intact, and now they could use it to infiltrate the alien fleet. His team had studied their language, their customs, and their behavioral patterns for months. Their communication is mostly threat displays and dominance gestures. Miller explained to his team. They don't understand deception. They never needed it. Every species they met before us either fought and died or ran and died. Dr. Thomas made another breakthrough in her lab. "Commander, look at their brain scans," she said, pulling up holographic images. "Their minds are hardwired for aggression. They literally can't comprehend a species that thinks differently than they do." The captured Ravager provided more insights. It refused to eat anything it didn't kill itself, even if it meant starving. It couldn't understand recorded images, seeing them as some kind of magic. Their evolution had made them powerful, but it had also given them fatal blind spots. "They're like the dinosaurs of space," Dr. Thomas told her team. "Perfectly evolved predators who never had to adapt or change, until now." Officer Miller's infiltration team boarded their captured scout ship. They had loaded it with sensors and recording devices, preparing to gather intelligence from within the enemy fleet. The Ravager's own arrogance would help hide them. After all, who would dare to hunt the hunters? "Remember," Miller briefed his team, "they rely almost entirely on visual and scent recognition. Their other senses are weak. They never developed them because they never needed to hide or sneak. That's our advantage." In the command center, Commander Stone received reports from around the world. The Ravager's attack had failed everywhere, thanks to humanity's careful preparation. But he knew they would return, probably with an even larger fleet. "We've learned more about them in 2 days than they've learned about themselves in 1,000 years, Stone said, reviewing the data. "They think they're unstoppable because they've never needed to stop and think." Dr. Thomas made her final report to the world's leaders. "The Ravagers aren't just physically strong," she explained. "They're physically dependent on being strong. They can't adapt quickly because their bodies and minds are too specialized. They're prisoners of their own evolution. As humanity prepared for the next phase of the war, they had one crucial advantage. They understood their enemy, but their enemy couldn't understand them. The Ravagers were about to learn that intelligence, adaptability, and the ability to deceive were far more dangerous than sharp claws and powerful muscles. The next phase of humanity's plan was ready. They would use the Ravagers' nature against them, turning their greatest strengths into their greatest weaknesses. Admiral Ross stood on the bridge of Earth's first revealed warship, the Silent Hunter. Around him, dozens of similar ships emerged from their hidden bases on the Moon, Mars, and deep space asteroids. Humanity was finally showing its true power. "All ships, activate combat systems," Ross ordered. "The Ravagers think they're coming back for revenge. Let's show them what a real ambush looks like." The Ravager reinforcement fleet appeared exactly where Intelligence Officer Miller said they would. High Hunter Gray led an armada 5 times larger than the first attack force. They expected to find Earth weakened and afraid. Instead, they found a trap. "Enemy fleet detected," reported Lieutenant Reed from her new position on the Silent Hunter. "They're moving into their standard attack formation, just like we predicted." Ross smiled. "Launch the drones." Thousands of small, unmanned ships swarmed out from hidden positions. The Ravagers, used to fighting head-on battles, had no defense against these tiny attackers that moved like insects, too small and quick to target effectively. "What is this?" Gray roared as his ship's shields flickered under the assault. "Face us in proper combat, you cowards." But humans had learned long ago that proper combat was just another way to lose. The drones targeted engine systems and weapons, disabled communications, and created chaos in the perfectly ordered Ravager fleet. Phase 2, Ross commanded. Show them why humans are the galaxy's best hunters. Earth's warships attacked from multiple directions, using patterns based on wolf pack hunting strategies. The Ravagers, used to being the strongest force in any battle, didn't know how to handle enemies that attacked like predators instead of prey. On the front line, Captain Walker led a squadron of smaller ships. "Remember your training," she told her pilots. "Hit and run. Never stay in one place. Make them chase us until they're tired." The human ships darted in and out of the battle, striking critical systems and disappearing before the Ravagers could respond. They used asteroids for cover, solar radiation to mask their movements, and every trick learned from Earth's own predators. "This isn't warfare," Gray shouted as another of his command ships exploded. "They fight like hunters." Miller's voice came over the Ravager communication channels. His infiltration team had succeeded in accessing their systems. "That's what you never understood. Humans didn't survive on Earth by being the strongest. We survived by being the smartest hunters." The Ravager fleet's formation broke apart as confusion spread through their ranks. Their strict hierarchy meant no ship could act without orders, but their leaders were being systematically targeted and eliminated. "All ships, execute Pattern Delta," Ross ordered. Earth's fleet moved like a single organism, adapting and changing tactics faster than the Ravagers could respond. Every time the aliens thought they had figured out the human strategy, it changed. "Their flagship is isolated," Walker reported, moving in for the final strike. The Silent Hunter and its wolf pack closed in on Gray's command ship. The Ravager vessels tried to protect their leader, but they were too slow, too predictable. They had never learned to think beyond their instincts. "You had 1,000 worlds," Ross transmitted to Gray's ship. "But you never learned the most important lesson. True strength isn't about being the biggest or strongest. It's about being able to adapt." The battle ended as the Ravager flagship exploded in a brilliant flash. The remaining alien ships, leaderless and confused, retreated in panic. They had lost not just a battle, but their belief in their own invincibility. Admiral Ross watched them flee. "Send word to all Earth forces. The invasion is over. Now we take the fight to their worlds." He turned to his crew. "The galaxy's about to learn why humans are the most dangerous species of all. We're predators who learn to think." The turning point had come. Humanity wasn't fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to show the galaxy that the age of the Ravagers was over. Major Cooper sat in the dimly lit control room, watching feeds from 100 different sources. On his screens, Ravager ships fought shadows that weren't there, chased sensor ghosts, and jumped at every small movement. The mighty hunters were learning what it felt like to be hunted. "Send the sound package to Sector 7, Cooper ordered. His team had discovered that certain frequencies terrified the Ravagers, triggering deep genetic memories of their own ancient predators. "Signal sent," reported Technician Adams. "Their ships are breaking formation again." On the Ravager homeworld, the Council of Hunters gathered in their great hall. For the first time in their recorded history, fear filled the chamber. The reports from Earth made no sense. How could prey animals fight like this? "Play the human transmission again," ordered the head hunter. The screen lit up with images that made the mighty Ravagers flinch. Humans hunting on their own world, taking down animals larger than themselves. Humans using tools and traps. Humans working in groups to defeat stronger enemies. "They're not prey," whispered one council member. They were never prey. Back on the front lines, Intelligence Officer Miller's team continued their psychological operations. They had studied the Ravager mind thoroughly and knew exactly how to break it. "Launch the hologram satellites," Miller commanded. The devices spread through space, creating images of Earth's most dangerous prehistoric predators, creatures that matched the Ravagers in size and strength. The alien ships scattered in panic, their instincts overriding their training. "They're running from shadows," Cooper observed, "just like their victims used to run from them." Dr. Thomas's research had revealed another weakness. Ravagers couldn't sleep without feeling safe. As Earth's forces denied them rest, entire crews began to break down. Their mighty warships drifted aimlessly, crews too exhausted to fight. "Their entire society is built on never showing weakness," Thomas explained in her latest report. "Now that they feel weak, they don't know how to handle it. They're collapsing from the inside." On their colonies and outposts, Ravager society began to crack. Young hunters questioned their elders. Why had no one ever prepared them for an enemy that fought back? Why had they never learned to adapt? "Send them the next package," Cooper ordered. His team transmitted images of human children learning, adapting, and growing stronger. The message was clear. While Ravager children were taught only to be strong, human children were taught to become stronger. The psychological warfare took its toll. Ravager ships began surrendering, something unthinkable just weeks ago. Their crews would rather face shame than continue fighting an enemy they couldn't understand. "They're breaking faster than we expected," Miller reported to command. "Their whole society is based on being the strongest. Without that, they have nothing." In space, Earth's ships no longer needed to fire their weapons. Often, just appearing on Ravager sensors was enough to send the aliens running. The hunters had become the hunted, and they couldn't handle the role reversal. "Show them the Earth nature documentaries," Cooper commanded. The transmission showed lions hunting in packs, wolves coordinating attacks, even ants working together to take down larger prey. Each video reinforced the same message. Earth's creatures had always known how to hunt larger prey. The Council of Hunters received reports of mass desertions. Young Ravagers were questioning everything they had been taught. Some even suggested learning from the humans, a notion that would have been punishable by death just months ago. "Their entire civilization is built on being the apex predator," Cooper explained to his team. "We didn't just defeat their military. We destroyed their whole worldview." Major Cooper watched his screens as another Ravager fleet retreated from Earth forces. They had learned the hardest lesson possible. Physical strength meant nothing against an enemy who could attack your mind, your confidence, and your very identity as a species. The age of the Ravagers was ending, not with a bang, but with the whimper of a predator learning it was no longer at the top of the food chain. General Wright stood before the holographic display showing the Ravager home system. Hundreds of Earth ships surrounded the area, their presence alone causing panic among the once mighty hunters. After months of fighting, the final battle was about to begin. "All fleet commanders, report in," Wright ordered. The voices of humanity's greatest military leaders responded one by one, each commanding a battle group named after Earth's most successful predators. "Wolf Pack, ready. Eagle Strike, in position. Tiger Force, standing by. Shark Team, awaiting orders." The Ravager homeworld's defenses looked strong on the surface. Massive warships formed defensive lines around their planet, but human scanners showed the truth. Their crews were exhausted, their leaders unsure, and their mighty weapons shaking in trembling hands. "Remember," Wright addressed all ships, "we're not here for revenge. We're here to end this war and bring peace to the galaxy. Begin Operation Final Hunt." The battle started not with weapons, but with sound. Earth ships broadcast recordings of all the creatures that had ever hunted humans' ancestors. The howls of dire wolves, the roars of cave bears, and the growls of saber-toothed cats filled space. The Ravager ships broke formation before the first shot was fired. "They're running scared," Captain Walker reported from Eagle Strike. "Just like we planned." Wolf packs struck first, their ships moving in coordinated hunting patterns. They didn't target the largest ships but picked off the smaller ones, just as real wolves would separate weak prey from the herd. The Ravager fleet's formation crumbled as ships tried to protect each other, creating chaos. Tiger Force, begin your run, Wright commanded. The next wave of Earth ships attacked from multiple directions, appearing and disappearing like jungle predators. The Ravagers couldn't decide where to focus their defenses, and their rigid command structure couldn't adapt fast enough. On the Ravager homeworld, the Council of Hunters watched in horror as their defenses fell. They had built their civilization on being the strongest, but now they faced an enemy that had spent millions of years learning how to defeat stronger opponents. Launch the planet's defense grid, ordered the headhunter. But even as he gave the command, human infiltration teams led by Officer Miller had already disabled their most powerful weapons. The Ravagers discovered too late that humans had been inside their systems for weeks. Shark Team, clear path to the capital, Wright ordered. The ships moved in, silent and deadly like their namesakes. They didn't attack head-on, but found weak points in the Ravager defenses, widening them until entire sections collapsed. The Ravager civilians watched through their view screens as Earth's fleet approached their world. But instead of the terror they had always inflicted on others, the humans broadcast a message of hope. Your warriors have fought bravely, General Wright's voice echoed across the planet. But this war is over. Surrender, and we will show you something your people have never understood: mercy. The word confused the Ravagers. In their language, there wasn't even a term for showing kindness to the defeated. Yet here were the humans, offering peace when they could have taken revenge. All ships, hold position, Wright ordered as the Ravager Council requested terms of surrender. Let them see that true strength isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about knowing when to stop. The final push lasted less than a day. The mighty Ravager Empire, which had terrorized the galaxy for thousands of years, surrendered not to superior weapons, but to superior wisdom. Their civilization had evolved to be the strongest, but they had never learned to be the smartest. As Earth ships secured the Ravager homeworld, General Wright reminded his forces of their true mission. "We didn't win because we were stronger," he said. "We won because we remembered what it was like to be weak." That's humanity's greatest strength. We never forgot our past as prey, and it taught us how to be better predators. The war was ending not with the extinction of the Ravagers, but with the hope that they too could learn and change. Humanity had proved that being an apex predator wasn't about being the strongest, it was about being the wisest. 1 year after the surrender of the Ravager Empire, Earth's diplomatic ship, Peacekeeper, approached a distant space station. Dr. Thomas stood on the observation deck, watching as representatives from 50 alien species gathered for the first Galactic Council meeting. "It's hard to believe how much has changed," she said to Commander Stone, who now served as Earth's chief diplomatic officer. "A year ago, these species were all hiding in fear of the Ravagers." The space station itself showed how things had changed. Built by humans but incorporating designs from all member species, it represented the new age of cooperation. Even some Ravager ships were docked nearby, their crews learning to be protectors instead of hunters. "Ambassador Walker, we're ready for your speech," a young aide announced. The former captain had become humanity's voice in galactic affairs, chosen for her understanding of both war and peace. Walker stepped onto the council platform, facing the gathered representatives. Among them sat former High Hunter Gray, now serving as the reformed Ravager government's delegate. The changes in his bearing were obvious, less aggressive, more thoughtful. "1 year ago, the galaxy lived in fear," Walker began. "Today, we meet as equals. Humanity didn't defeat the Ravagers just to become the new overlords. We fought to create something better." The alien representatives listened intently. Many of them had expected humans to simply replace the Ravagers as the galaxy's dominant predators. Instead, Earth had spent the past year helping worlds rebuild, sharing technology, and teaching others how to defend themselves. The Ravagers taught us an important lesson, Walker continued. Any species that stops adapting, that believes they've reached the peak of evolution, is doomed to fall. Humanity's strength isn't in our weapons or our technology. It's in our ability to change and grow. In the station's military section, Officer Miller trained mixed crews of humans, reformed Ravagers, and other species. Strength isn't just about muscles or claws, he taught them. It's about working together, adapting to challenges, and protecting those who need help. Dr. Thomas had opened a galactic research center where scientists from all species study together. The Ravagers, particularly their younger generation, proved to be eager students once they abandoned their old beliefs about strength and dominance. We're learning more from cooperation than we ever did from conquest, Gray addressed the council, his voice humble. Humans didn't just defeat us, they showed us a better way to live. The changes weren't always easy. Some Ravagers clung to their old ways, and some other species wanted revenge for past wrongs. But Earth's example of showing mercy to a defeated enemy helped convince most that a better future was possible. The galaxy needs protectors, not conquerors, Walker concluded her speech. Earth stands ready to defend any world that asks for help, to teach any species that wants to learn, and to work with all who seek peace. As the council session ended, Commander Stone looked out at the stars. Human ships patrolled trading routes once haunted by Ravager raiders. Former victim species were building their own defense forces, guided by human trainers. The galaxy was learning that cooperation made everyone stronger. We did it, he said quietly. We changed not just their weapons and tactics, but their hearts and minds. The final piece of the new order fell into place as the council voted to establish a joint defense force. Ships from all species would work together, with humans teaching them not just how to fight, but when not to fight. The age of the lone predator is over, Walker declared as the vote passed. The future belongs to those who understand that true strength comes from working together. As the peacekeeper prepared to depart, Dr. Thomas made one final note in her journal. Humans weren't the strongest, the biggest, or the most fearsome species in the galaxy. But we were the wisest, because we never forgot what it meant to be both predator and prey. And in teaching others this wisdom, we made the galaxy not just safer, but better. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if they too were celebrating the dawn of a new age. An age where intelligence, cooperation, and adaptability meant more than teeth and claws.